Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another Burlingame. It's a small town podcast sponsored by the Burlingame Historical Society. This is Mark Lucchese, also known as Mark at the Mic, and my guest today is Mariko Jesse, a local illustrator and printmaker. Mariko does freelance production and likes to spend as much time in the print studio as she can. She has attended various international artist residencies and exhibits her work around the world. She offers an online sketchbook class and an illustration class on the Creative Bug website. Mariko happily works from wherever she is at the time, making her home between Burlingame, California, London, and Hong Kong, depending largely on the weather. Her Hong Kong Willow collection of ceramics was awarded the silver medal by the Society of Illustrators in New York. This year, Mariko is celebrating 30 years of working as an illustrator. Mariko has over 6,000 posts and 3,000 followers on Instagram. And now my conversation with Mariko Jesse. Mariko Jesse, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. I've really been looking forward to this ever since you did a little sketch of me at the luncheon we were at last month, early September. But we'll get to that in a second. Mariko, that's a very pretty and unique name. Is there some kind of meaning behind it?
It's a Japanese name. Mariko's quite an old-fashioned name, and in Japanese you can use different characters to make up a name. So my particular characters mean 10,000-mile child. I think everybody knew that I would be traveling a lot and not staying in one place because my dad's English and my mum's Japanese, and I grew up in Hong Kong, so I have a lot of those things all tied up in my name.
So your parents were thinking that you're going to be a traveler? Is that what you're saying?
Probably.
That's great. That is really great. Do you hear the people? I often want to say Mariko, but I know it's Mariko. That's because I've heard you say it, but people do say Mariko, I
Yes,
bet.
I think Mariko actually sounds more like the Japanese way of saying it.
Oh, okay.
But I'm English, and I guess Mariko sounds more comfortable for me.
Okay, great. Well, if I might make some mistakes and go back and forth.
That's
but,
fine,
okay,
totally fine.
Great. So usually in the very beginning of the show, I always share a fun fact or two about my guest, maybe something that people don't know too much about or kind of surprise you a little. Anyway, I wanted to let folks know out there how you and I sort of met. And I just mentioned it a minute ago, we met at a luncheon at the Burlingame Hillsborough Neighborhood Club, right? It was a luncheon in Redwood City, and I happened to have an opportunity to speak that day to you guys, to the ladies. But while I was speaking, you were sketching me, and unbeknownst to me at the time, and then all of a sudden, I guess you posted it on Instagram, saying Mark at the Mic was here today. Thank you for speaking to us and all that. But I didn't know that, right? Later in the day, or maybe during the evening, my daughter-in-law, Adrian, who kind of takes care of my social media accounts and is my director of marketing. We have all these great titles for everybody that's making no money, right? But it's fun. Anyway, she said, "Hey, Mark, what's this about?" And I go, wow, look at that. And so I decided to look up your name on Google, Mariko Jesse. I look, and boom, up comes all this great stuff. Your website, which I have by my side right here, and I wish the folks at home could see this, is amazing website. And you do it yourself, the website?
Yeah.
Wonderful. We'll talk about that as we go through this conversation. But anyway, it was really good. Then I went to Instagram, and 6,000 posts on Instagram right now?
Maybe that's too many.
No, it's not.
Posting.
It's wonderful work, right? And so I'm going to share a fun fact too. You also won an award for creating one of the Burlingame library card illustrations, yes, right on the library card, and the one that you won for is the lion, right? It's the lion that's in front of the library.
Yep.
I think there's two lions, right?
There's two lions.
Yeah, and you did the one. And it's actually the library card I have in my wallet, and my daughter-in-law down in Los Angeles has the same one. Did they come out earlier in the year?
I think it came out a few years ago.
That long now?
Yes,
wow.
I think so. They ran a competition. I think they hadn't had a new design for a long time.
Right.
And I think technically they wanted kids maybe to do, so they had age groups, so like under 8 or like 8 to 16 and then 16 and over. So I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't enter because maybe it's for kids. But then they they asked people to do it, and then they asked again. They said, we haven't had enough people.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it because I love the library. And I think it's still one of my favorite projects that I've done because I actually use this library. I think you had to be a library card holder to enter.
I bet.
And so I was like, oh, what can I do? And I love the lions outside. And
Yeah.
also because they're called wisdom and wonder.
Right.
Which I think that's everything that, you need in a library.
Well said. Yeah. Great.
Everything you get from a library, maybe.
Yeah. So I was going to just at this point, I want our listeners to maybe, if they want to, go to your website, which would be marikojesse.com, and that's spelled MarikoJesse, marikojesse.com.
Yep.
Or they can even just go to Instagram and just put in Mariko Jesse, and boom, it comes right up. And that way, while we're speaking, they can be looking at some of the work that you're doing, because it's hard to do a audio podcast without these showing people everything, all this great work you're doing. But we're going to try and describe what we can as we go along. Okay? All right. You ready to get this show on the road?
Let's do it.
Great. So you were born in Japan.
Yep.
You grew up in Hong Kong, but you studied in London.
Yes.
Okay. So the study that you had in London, the studies that you did in London, how did that education lead you into illustration and printmaking?
I did pretty much all of my secondary education in the UK, in London. And then when I went to art school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And in the UK, unlike in America, the first year of art school is like you try everything. They call it a foundation course. And so because when you're in high school, you don't get to do things like product design or fashion or things like that. So you try everything. And then when I tried illustration, I was like, this is amazing. So then I went to an art school specifically that does graphics and illustration. And I took it from there, really.
I bet you get this one question asked of you all the time. So were you like in grade school or elementary school, which we call it here in the States, were you like into like doodling and things like that? I mean, did you know how to like draw a stick man or you know what I'm talking about when I say that? Cartoon figures or anything?
I didn't really do cartoon things, but I've always been drawing.
Yeah.
Always. I can't remember a time when I wasn't drawing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And how would you define illustration versus printmaking?
Okay, so illustration is not a technique. Illustration is a job. It's a vocation. So when you're an illustrator, you're taking text usually or a concept and you are creating an image to go with it. So like, for example, for editorial, it's like a magazine. They'll send you an article and then you have to create an image that goes with that article. That's like very basic.
Yeah.
And so it's not like a style. It's actually, it's a job. Whereas printmaking is a technique. Like photography is a technique. It's a thing that you physically do. So when you're doing printmaking, you are making a piece of artwork using a print technique, which could be silkscreen or etching or woodcut, anything like that. And that's printmaking. And I've tried most types of printmaking, but I like etching and mokuhanga, which is Japanese woodblock printing.
Yeah. Woodblock printing?
Yes. So
not carving, printing?
Well, you have to carve the wood block itself, and then you print from the thing that you've carved.
Yeah.
And that's
okay. If you were working for Walt Disney, right, and you were creating their animation films, is that an illustrator?
You could be an illustrator, but that you'd probably be an animator.
Animator.
Yeah.
Okay.
So illustration tends not to be moving. I mean, I guess it's kind of there's crossover.
Okay. All right. Would it be the comics, the comic page, where you have, I don't know, Charlie Brown type stuff? Is that illustrations?
Yes.
Is that an example?
It's an example. So illustration is very broad. So if you're Charles Schultz doing Peanuts, you're a cartoonist.
Oh, cartoon.
Because
So we've gone from animator to cartoonist. I love it.
It's very specific, but they are kind of illustrators.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. For somebody that hasn't seen your work, or if they haven't gone to the Instagram or your website yet, How would you describe your artistic style to someone? I know this is kind of a tough question. It's
Style is really hard to describe. I would say that my work is figurative because it's not abstract. So it looks like what it is. So if I'm drawing a picture of a bottle of water, then it will look like a bottle of water.
Right.
But it's not super realistic. It's quite stylized. I hope that it's quite elegant. It's very positive. It's quite colorful. I'm a line person rather than a shape person. So I draw with a lot of lines. It's probably a little bit Asian inspired. And I think
okay.
it's kind of contemporary. I don't know.
All right.
It's hard. That's a hard question.
Well, hopefully some folks will go to the website and Instagram, very simple click, right, and take a look because it's wonderful work. So early on, did you have any influencers, like any artists or teachers or places that sort of shaped your artistic style?
I think picture books, children's picture books are really important in my memory of like being surrounded by images. So people like Where the Wild Things Are is probably one of my first that I remember. And then Quentin Blake books. He's not as popular here, I think, or as well known. So he's an illustrator he illustrated all of the Roald Dahl picture books. Like
Which picture books?
Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl.
Like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and The Twits and Matilda and all of these books. So Quentin Blake did all the illustrations, and his style is amazing.
Are those books more popular in
I think they might
England
be more popular in the UK. Yeah.
Okay, the UK. Yeah, I love that. I got to get into this stuff, man. The UK and that's great.
But also, I was, very, very lucky that
Right.
my parents are both creatives. So I was always taken to museums and galleries, and
Yeah.
and we traveled a lot. So had lots of outside, things to be inspired by. And as I grew up, I always had a sketchbook and I draw, and they were like very encouraging for everything. And I also, if we went on holiday, I'd be like, oh, can I do a drawing?
Right.
And they'd be like, okay, fine, but you've got 10 minutes,
Yeah.
And so I learned to draw fast, and I got my 10,000 hours in.
You got to have the 10,000 hour rule. I love it. When did you first realize you could take your passion into a career and actually make money doing this?
I don't think I ever didn't think I would be doing this. I've always been into making things and drawing and creating things, and I think that was always going to be my destiny. There wasn't anything else. I think it's more about what exactly within there was I going to do, because there are so many things you can do that are creative. Every kind of level of education that you do, you're like, oh, and then you could try this, and then you can try this. And I was like, I don't know, maybe I could do this, or maybe I could do that. So when I was on my foundation course, I tried all these things for the first time, and I nearly went into textiles because I love pattern making. But textiles tends to be mostly that, and I want to do other things as well. So that's why I chose illustration and graphic design, because I can have a wider range. So I do now end up doing a lot of pattern making, but I'm also doing other things.
Yeah. Your education in London was 4 years, is that correct?
Yes.
And where was that?
The first year was in a local college near where I lived, and the second lot, so the main degree was in a school called Central St. Martin's, and it's probably one of the best art schools in the world.
Really?
It's such a good place to study.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated, I moved abroad and I worked for 7 years, and then I came back to the UK, and then I taught at the college as well for 10 years.
No kidding. Fabulous. As you graduated, did they help you place you in a position or anything like that? I mean, you said you traveled, you left,
Yeah.
right? So
I think they
was there?
illustration is the thing with being an illustrator is that it's not like you can get a job somewhere, because almost all illustrators tend to be freelance. And so you need to go out and look for work yourself. And they tell you that that's what you have to do.
Right.
But until you do it, you don't really know.
Got it.
That and when I started 30 years ago, it was very different than it
Yeah.
is now. Nobody had a website 30 years
Yeah.
ago. There was no internet was just starting. When I graduated, I got my first email address, which was just all numbers and letters. And then I had to deliver artwork by hand.
So you packed a portfolio around with you?
And I had to go and actually see people and show them
Yeah,
my
show
work.
them your work.
And these days, you just have a look at my website,
Yeah.
have a look at my social media. It's totally different.
It sure is. So let's talk about some of your work here for a moment, if you don't mind. And again, I took a lot of this right off your website because it's got a lot of information and really good information and colorful pictures. So you do cookbook illustrations, interiors, murals, windows, maps, picture books, corporate projects, editorial, lettering, and printmaking. And like we said before, you also do Japanese woodworking, or what'd you call it? Tell me.
Japanese woodblock printing.
Yeah, what's it called? What's the fancy name for it?
Mokuhanga.
Makuhanga?
Yes.
Okay, great. That's a lot of things going on.
Yes.
All right? Maybe we'll pick a couple of specifics out of that.
Okay.
By the way, have you ever done a map of Burlingame, downtown
I
Burlingame?
have not. I would love to.
Yeah.
What I need is somebody to commission me to do it.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
don't know if you know someone.
Maybe we would start with the Chamber of Commerce, with Susan Baker, in a short chat with her.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she has direction, and maybe who knows, right? But we can get you started.
I would
probably.
love to do
Okay,
that.
I think so too, because your maps are so cool. Anyway, okay, cookbook illustrations. A guy writes a cookbook. I know you have one here on the desk,
Yep.
but I write a cookbook and I have it published. But I need illustrations, right? Are you working in the same room with him? I mean, he shows you his recipes, and then you read those recipes, and you think, what kind of illustration am I going to do? How does that work?
It's not likely that the person who writes the book will find me. The publisher will always commission the illustrator. And it's very unusual to work with the author of a book. I will usually be working with the publisher and the art director. So the art director controls how everything looks. So he'll lay out the text, he'll do the photographs and this. For the cookbooks that I did in the UK, they were for River Cottage with Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall. He's a celebrity chef in the UK, and he's very, very hands-on. So I did actually work directly with him.
Right.
We had a whole team with the art director, the editor, the publisher, him, the chef, and me, and sometimes other people, the photographer, and we would all get together and go through the book and the images together, which was really intense but very rewarding.
You had there's several recipes obviously in this book, but one of them that caught my eye, and it's on your website. I think it was a fish recipe or something. But anyway, you had the little sardines or something in the background, and so well done because you see it, but you don't. It doesn't. You see the recipe, but you see the illustration, right? And it's not overtaking the recipe, as I guess I'm saying. It's very subtle, but it's there. Does that make sense?
Yes,
I hope.
thank you. Hopefully, that's what they're doing. Is that I'm trying to make the recipes come alive a little bit, and so that you're like, oh, I really want to make that.
Right. It's not a black and white page. It's some illustration in the background that brings it alive, makes it interesting to read. Right. So, what about picture books? And when we say picture books, are those children's books that you're talking about?
Usually, they're children's books.
Right.
Yeah, picture books.
And would that be the same way? I write a story for children, and then you read the story, and then you try to create some pictures out of that, or what? How does that work?
Well, in the same way, again, usually the publisher will, an author would write a book and go to a publisher and say, I've written this book, and they're like, great, it sounds great. We will find an illustrator for you.
Right.
So they will think of somebody that they think works well with the words that you've made.
Yeah.
And so then they'll contact me and say, we've got this book. What do you think? And I'll be like, oh, that looks great. And then I'll work with the art director or the designer and the publisher. Very rarely would I work with the writer.
That intrigues me because so children's books, I don't know, what are they, 15, 20 pages long, something. I'm talking about the 5-year-old, 6-year-old type kids,
Yeah.
little books, right? Maybe 20 pages, let's say. So you have to make 20 illustrations, right? Because basically one side usually has the words and another side has the illustration. Is that correct?
Well,
or they blend.
It could be the whole background.
Yeah, they blend. That's right.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't read to my grandchildren lately. Anyway, It must take, you just don't get one take, right? I mean, is he saying, that's good, but I don't really I want to change that illustration a little bit? To do 20 pages must take a while, right?
Yes.
To get to the final product?
Yes. So children's books are quite a big project, and it could take a year
Really?
to do the whole thing, because I would have to come up with creating, the characters, or what is the whole thing going to look like, and development. And then once you kind of have agreed with the publisher, this is sort of what it's going to look like, and this is going to be the style, then you actually start working on the actual layouts of the pages. And, on this page, because it talks about this, then I'm going to draw, like this, and the text is going to fit here, and I'm working directly with the designer, and, each thing can go backwards and forwards many times over many weeks.
And in that same process, are they taking it back to the person that wrote the book to make sure that he's okay? No.
At this point, he's not got anything to do with it.
Really?
Yes. I mean, hopefully, I'm not sure if they even can say no, that they don't like this illustrator, or that, I don't know, maybe. It depends if they're famous.
No
maybe.
kidding.
I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting because most of the picture books that I've done personally have been a bit different than normal. I don't know if everything I've done seems to be a bit different than normal, where I actually was contacted by the author and I worked directly with her. So I worked with the designer and the publisher and her together, so that everybody has feedback.
Yeah.
But everybody has to kind of respect that, their job is the thing that they know best.
Yeah.
And so usually I get, quite good say in how I want it to look.
That is great.
Yeah.
You must have an agent then that's doing all this, finding you work, or what?
I have an agent in the US. So my agent is in Princeton. She's called Marlena Agency. So anything that I get commercially for the US goes through her, and then she deals with the contracts and the money and the things like that. But because I was working for so long myself before I got an agent, so in Asia or in Europe, those projects, I handle it all myself.
Right. The corporate projects that you work on, can you give me a couple examples of what that would be?
So corporate projects would be, tends to be for like bigger companies rather than not publishers, not magazines, not things like that. So I've done some work I did a poster for United Airlines, and this was quite a long time ago, but they decided to bring out some, like old-fashioned travel posters that they used to put up, in travel agents. And so it had the United logo, and then they tried to get an illustrator from the actual country to do an image of that country. So I did a poster of Japan. It was a difficult project because it's one of the biggest corporate things I'd done up to that point. It's already like 15, maybe more than 15 years ago now. But working with a big corporation like United, for example, means a lot of people want to have an opinion about what you're doing. So it goes, there's a lot of backwards and forwards. We don't like this, when, it changes. But I think in the end, it's actually a very nice poster. So I'm quite happy about it.
Were you in Japan when you created that, or here in the U.S.? Or
I think I was still living in Hong Kong at that point. I'm not sure.
Right. What'd they go ahead and use that poster for?
They printed thousands and thousands. They gave them to travel agents and all kinds of, I don't know, I think they were just given out to, in airports and in everywhere.
Because you have a picture of that on your website.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed doing that one, actually.
And what is editorial? What does that mean?
Editorial is magazines, newspapers, maybe now websites, maybe even podcasts. It's like if you want to have a picture up on your, on your site or in a newspaper, then that is called editorial. Yeah.
Okay.
Editorial is what most illustrators start with because it's a fast turnover. It's usually a small thing. Could be just like a quarter of a page. Yeah. But it's like I don't do as much editorial anymore because I prefer to do bigger, longer projects because you can develop it. Editorial is like, we need a drawing tomorrow.
Really?
It's like,
Yeah. The maps that you do, all these maps, I think I saw on the website, some of them are created into like placemats. placemats for restaurants or something?
I did do
Did I
one.
see that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That was for a restaurant in Kuala Lumpur.
Where?
Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
I think I think it was for a fancy hotel.
Right.
And it was a map of Kuala Lumpur it was for children. So I designed stickers of things like, birds and famous buildings so that basically so they could be occupied while they're waiting for their food, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was on a placemat.
Typically, what are the maps used for then, or after you work on them? What happens with them?
All kinds of things. A lot of the maps are editorial. So there's a lot of like in-flight magazines, and
Right.
they're like, when you go to Paris, you could go here. And then they want, because if you get a general map of Paris, then it's too much information. So you could ask me to do a map of Paris showing, all of the cafes that they talk about, or the best shops, or, things like that. I did a really nice map of New York for a company that was making puzzles. So you can actually buy it as a puzzle.
Oh, wow. How cool is
Yeah,
that?
that was really nice.
Yeah.
A map can be used on anything, really.
Sure.
I once designed a Christmas card with a map. I made it a pretend country called the Map of Christmas. And it had all like pictures
Yeah.
of my family and polar bears, and this is where, you can have a party and things
Yeah.
like that.
Out of all those projects that I just named, the cookbooks and the interiors and so on and so forth, is there one that takes up most of your time? Is there a certain project that really, takes more time than others?
One of the categories, I don't know if you mentioned it, is products. So I do a lot of ceramic designs, and that takes up a lot of time. I have a lot of things on at once.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sorry I'm going to interrupt.
Okay.
Because, the ceramics, the products, that came under products. You're absolutely right. A company gives you a blank teacup and says, do something with this, or what? How does that work?
Usually, if it's a corporate, so the most popular ceramic that I've designed was for Tiffany's in New York.
Tiffany, the jewelry
The
place?
jewelry place.
Yeah.
And they wanted to make their own ceramic mug. I think it was started with the mug, or it might have started with the little jewelry box, one of the others. And they wanted something that was affordable.
Like a little souvenir
Like
when
a
you go to
souvenir.
Tiffany's, yeah.
Yeah, because everybody loves going to the main store in New York on Fifth Avenue, and maybe you can't afford a piece of jewelry.
Right.
So they asked me to do sort of a map of New York showing the Tiffany store.
So they kind of gave you a little bit of what they're looking for.
Yeah. And then I came up with the idea, and we worked on the thing, and then, it was only a kind of a test for them, and then I think they made a couple of thousand of them, and they sold out within 2 weeks.
But so your first go around,
Yeah.
did it work, or did they say, well, we like a little bit of this, or take that off, or did you have to, tweak it?
Yes, there's always tweaking happening.
Yeah.
That's very normal.
Right.
Because I can't see into what, into their head, like what do they think they're going to get?
Yeah.
So I say, how about this? And they say, well, yep, but could you do a bit more like this? And then that goes backwards and forwards as many times as it needs to until everybody's happy
Yeah.
with, how it's going to look.
Is that particular teacup from Tiffany's on your website? Because maybe I missed it.
I think it is.
Yeah.
This one is actually part of a set. The original.
That's a coffee cup or a teacup?
Well, this is actually a teacup. The original one had straight sides, and it was you could buy one.
Right.
And then Japan loved it. So Japan Tiffany's, this is one, they sold it as a pair.
Yeah.
Because it was the most popular gift for wedding gifts from Tiffany's, because you could buy a set of two. And it was, so it's a bit smaller, but it's very cute.
It's great. It is cute. It's a cute price too, right? Very affordable.
I think it's affordable for Tiffany's.
With all these projects you have going on, can you have more than one at one time? In other words, could you be working on an illustration, working on a teacup, working on the Japanese wood, what's the word again?
Mokuhanga.
Yeah, mokuhanga. Can you be doing all of those simultaneously, or do you just try to focus on one project at a time?
I have to have several projects happening at once, because if I just had one, there'll be times when nothing's happening. Like if the client is thinking about it, they could be thinking about it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I generally have between 5 and 8 illustration projects happening at once, and then probably 3 or 4 print projects happening at once.
How do you shift gears? I mean, you know what I mean? How do you focus on one and you have to change and go to the other? I don't get how you can do that.
I don't know either. It's a thing that has to happen.
Yeah. And you devote a certain amount of time to each one each day, or do you?
Well, the thing is, with illustration projects, that there are different stages. So the hardest and the most intense part is the beginning, when I'm thinking of ideas.
Yeah.
Or what am I going to do? And then I actually need proper time to work on it. But then I'll send it to the client. They'll think about it. So while they're thinking about it, then I'll start on a different thing. Or everything is at a different stage of development. So I might be working on the final artwork for something, but then also starting on a whole nother thing. So you just have to kind of, balance.
It's a lot of balancing.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, that's a lot of balancing going on.
Yeah.
Do you start all of your projects with a sketch or a photograph? Because you do a lot of photography.
I love photography.
And you do a lot of sketching, because anybody has to just go to Instagram and you see it, right? Great stuff, don't get me wrong. Is that how you start a project, though?
Photography is essentially more of a hobby for me. I don't do photography for work. I'll take pictures of the things I've made. I guess that's still kind of work. But sketching is where everything starts for me.
Yeah.
Even if I'm just trying to think of ideas, I'll just be drawing. And if I can't think of ideas, I'll go out and do drawing. Go to a museum and start drawing. And then that kickstarts my brain.
Well, let's take that teacup, for example, the one that you did for Tiffany's, right? They wanted a Fifth Avenue theme. Did you go over to Fifth Avenue and kind of walk around with your sketchbook and just start jotting things down?
Well, luckily, I used to go to New York quite regularly, so I knew the area. So I had lots of sketches already. So I looked at the sketches I've done.
Yeah.
And then Google Street View is very good. So then it's like you can walk, and look at all the buildings and things. So they actually...
That's crazy. You're
they
right.
specified, they wanted... the Palace, I think, is it called the Palace Hotel? The hotel that's opposite them. And then they wanted to have the Empire State Building. So I can research those buildings and work out, how would I draw them and, things like that.
And you use a little bit of a sketchbook. It would be is it like you're using a ballpoint pen or a certain kind of pen and a pad to do that, or what?
I'm not too fussy about which pen or which sketchbook. I have several sketchbooks depending on what I'm going to be doing. I have a general work sketchbook, which is a bit bigger, so I can scribble. It's usually pencil.
Right.
And then I have a small sketchbook if I'm going out in the street and drawing.
Yeah, okay. Hey, by the way, congratulations on your Hong Kong platter. How do I say that word? Toile. How is that pronounced? Toile.
Yep.
Platter. Okay. You won a merit award in a 3x3 illustration. Okay. Now, I just read that off my note card, and I have no idea what I was talking about. Okay. So you won an award. Did you win it in Hong Kong? I mean, it was a Hong Kong...
It's a Hong Kong product.
Yes.
But I actually entered it into a competition here. So 3x3 magazine is an illustration magazine. They print an actual thing, but they're also online. And they run an annual competition.
So 3x3 is a little smaller than an index card? Is that the size? 3x5 is an index card?
I don't know why it's called that, actually.
Okay.
It's a normal size thing.
Okay. All right.
I guess I should have looked that up. I don't know why it's called that. But it's one of the only ones which is focused on illustration.
Yeah.
And they have a competition every year. And then, if you win, then you go into their annual, which gets sent out to lots of art directors and things like that.
Yeah. And you brought a couple of examples here today of the platters,
yes.
right? Are one of those the winning platter, or are
yes.
they both the winning platter?
The green one is the winning one.
Okay.
It's
So
green and gold.
You get a blank platter and you put the design on that, or what? How does that? Walk me through that a little bit.
So I didn't specifically design the pattern for a platter. I designed it as a whole collection. So there's a teapot and teacups and soup bowls and dinner plates and everything. And the platter is just one of the items.
Right.
But for the competition, I just entered the photograph of the platter because it's easier to look at one thing and it's nice. It's got a big flat area that you can look at the pattern.
Right. How long ago was that?
Oh, I think that competition was this year, or was it last year? I can't remember.
It's hard to get wrapped up in stuff.
It might be this year because I'm still working on this pattern.
Really?
So I designed the pattern at the beginning of this year, end of last year, but it's not like here's the pattern and then it magically puts itself on things. I still have to work out how does it fit onto each item, because like a teapot is like a ball shape.
Yeah.
So getting the pattern to work around that shape is actually quite complicated. A platter is nice and easy because it's flat and you can just like put it, but like even a teacup, if it's got curves, if it's, it has to fit all the way around. So each item, it has to work with the pattern, and then there's the packaging, and then there's all these other things.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that competition in New York? You said it was here. Was it in New York?
Oh, I think it might be in LA.
Uh-huh.
I'm not 100% sure. I
Right.
don't think it's in New York. Everything's online now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you entered this competition, did you have any kind of feeling that you might win an award? Let's put it this way. Were you able to see your competitors online as well and see what they were putting out there?
For this particular competition, I don't think you can see what anyone else is entering when you're entering, but afterwards you can see all the winners,
Right.
which is really nice because you're
Yeah.
like, oh, because then that's how you see what other people are doing.
Yeah. And maybe capture an idea from something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It's just good to know what other people are doing, what's
Yeah.
popular, what's being commissioned,
In a competition like that, how many entrants would there be?
Oh, I have no idea.
Really?
Some of the big ones, this one, I don't know. Some of them, they say we had 50,000 entries.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, it can be, the big global competitions
Right.
can be very popular.
Are there cash awards, or is it a trophy, or anything like that?
You get the privilege of winning. The one the other ceramics I did actually get a medal
Great.
from the Society of Illustrators. That was quite nice.
I bet. That's cool. Why not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So along the way, what have you learned from your peers or mentors in the illustration or printmaking community that maybe you didn't expect? For example, things that have changed how you approach your work. Do you follow my thinking there?
I think one of the things that I've really learned, especially, more recently in the last 5-10 years, is that I like working collaboratively. The thing with being an illustrator is that it's very solo. Like you're working for yourself. Usually illustrators are working at home or in a home studio. You don't see anyone. You don't work with a team, so it can be quite lonely.
So you like working with a team?
I love working with other people.
Right.
And recently, especially with my art practice, I've started working with 2 different groups. So I have a group called Wood Paper Box, and we're 3 friends, and we learned how to do mokuhanga together. And so we've started working together on projects that we do.
Where do you do
long-term.
that work at with them?
Well, they are based they don't live here. They're in the US. One's in Kansas, Yunmi's in Kansas, and Katie's in Alabama. So what we do is that we talk over Zoom,
Oh, really?
and then we go and visit each other together. So, all of us would meet up in Alabama, or they
Right.
came to California this year, and then we, develop projects together. And then 2 years ago, we had a big exhibition of our work in Kansas. And it's just nice because then you actually have people to ask about things and what do you think about this?
Bounce ideas
Yeah,
off
it's
of.
really great. And then within that, I suppose it's like the mokuhanga community is sort of quite a niche.
Mokuhanga.
Mokuhanga is Japanese woodblock printing. It's quite
Right.
it's quite niche within printmaking.
Yeah.
Especially outside of Japan, it's growing in popularity, but it's
Yeah.
still a little bit niche. And with a group of women that I studied with to do mokuhanga, we've now sort of created a group called the Mokuhanga Sisters, and we do projects together. So we meet up once a month online. Everybody is spread all over the world, and we, whoever can
How
join.
many Mokuhanga sisters are we talking here?
9.
9, that's great.
Yes.
Spread throughout the world?
Yeah, so there's like South Africa, Ireland, England.
And you meet on Zoom.
We meet on Zoom. And
How's the connections all work? Does it freeze up and all of that while you're doing the
No,
work?
it's pretty good.
Really? That's great.
Internet is a
But what
marvel.
about times? I mean, South Africa
Yeah.
could be midnight, right? I have no idea how it works. But
South Africa and Japan are like the opposite ends, and so and San Francisco is kind of on the end as well. So usually Japan and San Francisco have to take turns. It has
Right.
to be one or the other.
Yeah.
But it's really good. We've had shows together, we've created artwork together, and then, every month we can discuss whatever we've been working on.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's just nice because illustration is quite a lonely world.
Man. Okay, talking about some of your pieces, and I'm going to use myself as an example before I give you this question. Yeah. I've done many podcasts now over 3 or 4 years, and started out rough, and maybe they still are rough. I don't know, but when I go back and listen to them, I think to myself, oh, why didn't I change that? Or I should have asked her that. You know what I mean? I always have that second thought. Do you ever have a piece or a print that you thought was finished, but later on you felt it needed something more? Do you ever have that feeling? Or once you're done, you feel good about it?
I try to feel good about it.
Yeah.
Always. You're like, oh, if only I could have just changed that. And then, but then I think as I've got older, I've had to accept that nothing is ever going to be perfect. Even if I want it to be perfect,
right,
it won't be. So I have to accept it. And I think I've got better at thinking this was as perfect as it was going to be in that moment, in that situation. And now I've got, if I thought about all the things in my life that I haven't done right, I think it would just be dreadful.
Right.
So I try to move forward rather than look backwards. Occasionally, I do get the opportunity to kind of fix things. For example, the children's books, when they'll come back to me and say, oh, we're going to, reprint, this. Is there anything that you want to change? And I'd be like, oh, wait. I noticed that I did something wrong, and then I can, for the next version, I can fix it. But that, usually that doesn't happen.
Generally, then it's project over, move on.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to be. I'm trying to do that with myself. Listen to it. Okay. Learn from it. Case closed. Podcast over. Move on to the next one. Right. So, are there, along the way, are there any techniques or ideas that you haven't explored but you want to?
Oh, there's so many. There's lots of projects that I'd love to do. I would really love to do more local things, like around Burlingame or even in California. I haven't really done much, but I don't know what they might be. Hopefully somebody will contact me about doing something.
Yeah.
But techniques, there's always things that I should, I should try that. Or, even materials. Sometimes I'll see, oh, look, there's a special kind of ink that does this. I'm like, oh, I need to try.
Yeah. Where are you seeing all this kind of thing? On YouTube? Or is there magazines that you subscribe to? Or you just go online and look for things or what?
Yeah, I go online and then, art supply stores might be like on Instagram going, look at this, we've just got these in.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. And I go to conferences.
And you went to the pen show.
I went to the pen show
this year, right? San Francisco Pen Show?
Yes, I was so happy to finally make it to that.
Right.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, I have to go to that. I have a thing for pens too.
I was so hard to not just buy everything.
Right. When you go to that, does your husband go with you to something like that? Or do you go with a friend? Or how do you do that?
He didn't actually come to the pen show, but sometimes he will.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's nice to go with someone.
Right.
But for the pen show, it was quite very last minute. And I was like, quick, I can make it. I only had the 2 last hours of the show.
Oh, gosh.
Because it's always on like a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
And we're away.
So if it's the last 2 hours of the show, are they doing any closeouts like today it's half price or anything like that? No,
they
no
don't
deals.
Need to do that.
No deals.
But there were a lot of things that were sold out.
Yeah. Okay. What's been your most rewarding project? And I know you've done a lot of projects, and that's a tough question to ask, I'm sure.
But I think the Cope. So Cope is the children's books that I've done, and they're about teaching kids how to deal with natural disasters. And it's basically, I feel great that I'm empowering children to know what to do. If there's an earthquake, this is what you need to do. If there's, a big storm, this is what you should do. And I really, when I see all the, we have a lady who does all the PR and she deals with the outreach, and she's sends me things like, look, we printed 20,000 copies of the landslides book, and it went to all these, really rural schools in Nepal, and they had practice how to deal with if there's a landslide.
Yeah.
And I think it might save their lives, to know this stuff. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
That's very rewarding. Also, the library card for Burlingame, because every time I get my library card out, I'm so excited.
Sure you are. It's your card, man. That's so cool. Yeah.
So that makes me happy.
Yeah, it's the one I have in my wallet now. My daughter-in-law has it, so it is funny. It's great.
If a client is happy with what
Yeah.
I've made, then I'm happy. So.
Yeah. I think I asked you this off mic earlier, but just so our listeners know, the children's books that you're doing, are they available in the U.S.?
They are available because they're online.
Okay.
We do print copies, but usually people are accessing them through the website. So you can read them online, turn the pages online, or you can download them onto your iPad and then read them.
Is there a hard copy available anywhere?
No.
No. Okay. Even in the UK?
No.
Okay.
Usually hard copies we work with NGOs in different countries. So, for example, in Nepal, I think it was
Sorry. You work with what?
NGOs. So they're like charity organizations.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And they're non-profit, and they will, if they want to print them, we will give them the artwork, and they can print them and distribute them to places where maybe they don't have the internet.
Yeah.
But we don't sell them, and the artwork, you can see it all for free because we want as many people as possible to see.
Great. Looking ahead down the road here a little bit, are there any projects that you are feeling pretty excited about? Anything coming up?
I can't really talk about things which are coming up until they have actually arrived. But I am still working on some of the ceramics, and I'm looking forward to seeing them all together and taking pictures of them, because they're produced in Hong Kong and I don't get to see them, unless I'm there.
Right.
So I'm quite excited to actually go and have a look at them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When we met a week or two ago, I told you I can't draw a straight line with a T-bar, okay, or a ruler. I just can't do a straight line. And you said to me, anybody can learn to sketch, right? And I'd love to be able to learn to sketch. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the online courses that you offer, sketching and illustration. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there's Creative Bug is an online subscription website.
Yeah.
And I think you can try 30 days for free if you just, and it has everything that's craft. You can learn embroidery, you can learn, like potato printing probably, crochet,
right?
Everything that's to do with craft, you can learn how to do it on there. And I did 2 classes. I filmed 2 classes for them. One, which is an introduction to illustration. Because like you, a lot of people don't really know what that is and how does it work. And so I did a very short thing where it explains it and it gives an example project. This is how it would work. Just to see if you're like, oh, maybe I'd like to do.
Is it a one video type of class, or do you have several classes within the videos?
I can't remember how many. They've split it up so it's not quite so full.
Right.
It's not so intense to do the whole thing. The sketchbook class, they have a series called the Daily Practice, and it's a month. So you get 30 days to do a little thing every day for a month.
And you filmed. You had somebody shoot those while you were filming you or whatever, videoing.
I went to their studio and they, have professional people to film it, which is a little bit nerve-wracking. But
I bet. Is it an all-day process to do one? It's a 30-day program, you said.
Yeah.
Is it an all-day process for you when you're there at that studio to do one day, one program at a time?
3 or 4 days to film like all 30. Because some of them are very simple. It's, 5 minutes.
Right.
Just sit down in a cafe, just draw your cup of tea that that you're having a cup of tea. And it's kind of the whole idea of it is that over the 30 days, you'd get more comfortable with being out in the world drawing, and having, I think everyone who wants to do it gets really worked up about it being really perfect, and it's going to be, I don't want to make any mistakes. I don't want people to laugh at me. Yeah. And I'm just like, it doesn't matter. I make mistakes everybody makes mistakes all the time. And if it doesn't work, you just do it again. It should be relaxing and it should be enjoyable.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, nobody's Michelangelo.
Kind of like when I did the talk with your group last month, you were just pulled out your book and you just started going for it.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't 100% look like you, sorry.
No,
but it was still, it kind of captured
the
you
thing
talking.
Is, it worked, and my daughter-in-law saw it, so what the heck, right? Okay, so you've been working on your studio because you're kind of showing photographs of your studio on Instagram quite a bit, and it looks like it's coming along. Is this in home studio, or is it somewhere else?
No, this is somewhere else. So this is the first time I've ever had a little space just for me,
Right.
dedicated to me making artwork.
Yeah.
Because I usually work at home. So my home studio it's like the computer and the scanner and the
Right.
tablet and all the work stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like I don't have internet there, and I've just got like tables, and I've got all my carving tools, and I can just create things there.
Yeah. Are you going there? I mean, how far is it from completion, or is it completed now?
It's basically complete now. I've got
Yeah.
all my paper and everything is there. It's about 10-minute drive from my house. So
Are you going every day?
I'm trying to go every day.
Yeah.
I can't always go every day.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
it's good.
We're getting close to the end, and I'm just wondering if I failed to mention anything, or do you have any kind of final words you'd like to offer?
If anybody has any projects that they want to commission me for, please contact me.
And would that be on, how would they contact you? Just go to your website?
Yeah, you can go to my website. It's got a contact me button on
Great.
there. Or you can DM me on Instagram.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Also, I think this show is coming out soon, and I have some artwork in a small gallery in San Francisco.
No kidding.
Yes, they have a show called Tiny, and it's they usually have it around winter time because people want to buy Christmas presents.
Right.
So all the work is less than 7 inches by 7 inches in a frame usually. So you can just buy it and they take it straight off the wall and you can go home with it.
Is this your work as well as somebody else's work?
It's a big group show.
big group show.
So there's lots of different artists.
Would you be in one particular area, or do they put your pictures, whatever you're
I think they'll
sketching,
just put them.
everywhere?
Yes, it's called Studio Gallery.
Has it started yet?
No, I wrote down the dates. It starts in November.
Great.
November the 7th to December the 22nd.
Terrific. Maybe
Yeah.
my wife and I'll get up there. That'd be
Yes.
wonderful. Great. Any shout outs to family and friends before we wrap up?
Thank you to the BHNC.
Yeah.
Which is, how I met you.
I know that. Yeah.
And I love them.
Yeah.
They're so nice. If anyone wants to join, please
Yeah.
come.
And you've been a resident in Burlingame for 13 years?
We moved here in 2013. Is that 13
That's
years?
12?
12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I love it.
Mariko, I can't thank you enough for being on the show today. I've been waiting to do this. Like I told you, I'm kind of not real into art. I mean, I'd like to be. But you helped me today a lot, and I hope we help our listeners as well.
Thank you so much.
You
I
bet.
really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Mariko Jesse, illustrator, printmaker, and a board member of the Burlingame Hillsborough Neighborhood Club, for being my guest today on a Burlingame It's a Small Town podcast sponsored by the Burlingame Historical Society. Thanks to my Minister of Podcasts, Mike Nagler, Executive Producer Shelby Lucchese, Director of Marketing and Social Media Adrian Lucchese, and original music by Bray. This podcast was written and edited by Mark at the Mic and recorded on Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 at the Burlingame Public Library. The Burlingame Historical Society copyrights this program, and no part can be copied and replayed without the written consent of the Burlingame Historical Society. Be sure to look for my next episode of a Burlingame It's a Small Town podcast, when my guest will be longtime Burlingame resident Lynn Herrick. So until next time, everyone, see you around Burlingame. It's a small town.